watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
And welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. It's TJ's final show here on The End Zone, which we'll jump into a little bit later.
Yes.
But you picked a great week because we're wrapping up spring football. We just finished the NCAA tournament, and it's Masters Week, so I know we both had to pry our eyes away from the television for a brief period of time to do this show, but what an awesome week it is.
It is, and it's funny you say that. People can't see it. Off camera, there is a monitor with the Masters playing right now. So I got one eyeball over here and one on the camera.
That's right. If I'm looking this way and then TJ says something and I go, huh?
Look, we've been talking about this for weeks now, right?
That's right.
This is the best stretch of sports, in my opinion, in your opinion too, I think, that we have all calendar year, and we are at the tail end of it now, unfortunately, with the Masters. But great week. And I know we'll talk a lot more of the golf later on. We got other things I guess we should talk about first.
We've got the End Zone Par 1 golf tournament coming up
Can't wait.
a little later in the show, so that'll be a good time. Basically, when One Shining Moment plays, which I'm a dork for One Shining Moment at the end of the NCAA tournament, when that plays and it wraps up, I go full blast into Masters mode. I'm all right, now I can officially make that transition, and I'm pumped.
Did OU, what was their moment in the One Shining Moment? I didn't watch it.
Jeremiah Fears had that fast break where he, I think, crossed somebody over and then did a spin layup in their tournament game.
So that was theirs, okay.
Yeah, that was the one moment.
I'm glad you're like you called it, a nerd. I did not watch One Shining Moment.
Oh,
normally I do.
Travesty.
Normally I do, and I missed it, so I'm glad. I knew OU would get in there at some point, but I just didn't know what it was.
Well, speaking of One Shining Moment, what is the One Shining Moment for OU football this spring? I've heard differing opinions, I guess, on the fan reaction over the Crimson Combine that's going to take place this weekend. Glamorized football practice, right? They're going to go through some drills. I do like the fact that there's a lot of fan interaction.
Yes.
But overall, I guess, what is your big takeaway from OU football as they wrap up this spring, getting ready for the 2025 season?
I know there's been some reports of injuries, and I am certain that there are. But for the most part, it feels like they've gotten out relatively unscathed. I know, again, there's been some reports of injuries, some severity. We don't know, but that was the key going in. Just wrap them in bubble wrap and get them to the fall. And it feels like, for the most part, that's what's happened. I would say one shining moment or a bright spot, but I'm worried about that, is that John Mateer appears legit, which is great. But, I mean, people are already throwing him in the Heisman conversation right now. It's it's April. Let's just relax. We'll get to the season, but it appears that he is everything that's been advertised for coming in.
I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to watch what John Mateer has done in college football so far and say, this guy's really good at football, right? He's a good quarterback. He's good at football. The real question is, can they protect him on the offensive line? And will he have weapons around him to be able to make plays? Because that was the issue a year ago. Despite any mistakes that the quarterbacks, the young guys, Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins, may have made, they weren't protected well, and all of their pass-catching options, their legit game-breaking pass-catching options, weren't available to them.
And we made the point a lot during the season. It wouldn't have mattered if it was Tom Brady back there or not. I mean, if you can't protect them, they're not going to be able to make the plays. And so, so we'll see if the offensive line takes a jump in the fall. Hard to tell anything from the spring, and it'll be impossible to tell anything from the Crimson Combine if the offensive line's taking a jump. I know you want to hit on that, so I'll transition to that. I do like that they've added the fan elements. Obviously, the fans are going to come on the field after the game anyway, or the practice, and do autographs and stuff. But adding in the punt catching contest, and I think there's a throwing competition of some sort in there too. That's fun. It's cool that they're going to involve the fans, maybe a select few. But it adds some intrigue, at least, to a day that's otherwise, just like you said, a glorified practice. Yeah,
I mean, if you're a football diehard, this probably isn't what you would want to see. You would much rather see some form of a game-type competition. But I think in terms of just being a spring game, being a fan-friendly event, letting kids show up and get to maybe experience going on the field or meeting their favorite players, I mean, those are things that will, last a lifetime in terms of memories, and I do like that element of it. Again, the other parts of it don't really move the needle for me, but you got to work with what you have, I guess.
And I've been on the bandwagon, if you will, of I don't like it at all. I would either do a spring game or do nothing, or do what Dion is wanting to do with bringing another team in, or do nothing.
Well, that's the dream.
Yes. So, but I am glad they've made some adjustments. They're going to allow some fan stuff to happen. They added time to it, too. It was only going to be an hour. Now it's an hour and a half. They're going to do a few more drills for fans to see. So, I mean, they're trying, but well, I guess we'll see what happens.
There was a period of time with OU football where I think in the spring we didn't talk much about the offense because the offense was so good for so long. Everybody just assumed the offense was going to be great, and the questions were about the defense, right? How much improvement is there going to be? What do these new guys look like? Who's going to step in and become a star? We've now flip-flopped, right? Like this spring, I've heard nothing.
Not a word.
But offense. John Mateer, these new receivers out of the transfer portal, hopefully some progression with the young guys on the offensive line. Nothing on the defense, right? Because I think because Brent Venables is coaching the defense, people just assume the defense is going to be fine. They're going to be really good.
Yeah, and I heard Kendall Daniels talking, obviously the transfer from Oklahoma State, played at Beggs, heard him talking this week during some interviews, and he got asked, like, how is it learning the defense? And he was like, I love what I'm doing is basically what his answer was. So I was like, I don't mind learning. And I think when you're in a position where you mentioned that Venables is going to call the defense and he's in that position group with Venables, feel like that he's doing such a good job of handling that side of the ball that, to your point, it's just not even a conversation. The only concern people are having is if he can call the defense and still be the head coach. Has nothing to do with how well they're going to execute, right? It's just, can he handle both? So I think that says a lot about where they're at right now.
And there are plenty of coaches in college football that call one side of the ball or the other and still are able to be the CEO of a football team. I will say, I don't think enough is being made of the departure of both Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman and their leadership and experience. That said, I think the defensive line is going to be better than it was a year ago. You have all those guys coming back. You've added some pieces. And if you can be solid anywhere, the defensive line is the place to be, and they look like they're going to be one of the best in the SEC there.
Sure seems that way, and that's what you need, especially in the SEC.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a timeout. As we mentioned, it is a big golf week, so we're going to hit golf next here on the End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. It is Masters Week, and we are about to participate in the first ever End Zone Par 1 tournament right here inside the studio, so it should be a ton of fun.
Yes.
Before we do that, though, we're going to talk a little Masters because it's been a tremendous first couple days. Giant names on the leaderboard, which typically there are, right, because of the condensed field and just the nature of this tournament, but off to a great start, TJ.
It's been really good. Obviously, I think the anticipation was that the weather might have an impact late Thursday and then into Friday a little bit with some wind. We've seen some of that, but really the level of play has been really good. And you mentioned it, there's a ton of those bigger names that are finding themselves at the top of the leaderboard. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy struggled to end Thursday and shot right back up the leaderboard on Friday, but played well. So it's making for an exciting final couple days here at the Masters, and fired up for it because to me, I don't know. We don't need to do a ranking or anything, but it's my favorite major. I don't know where you're at, but so it's just so much fun to watch.
Well, because it's the same course, right? I mean, there are other majors that are great, but you don't have the familiarity with every single course that the U.S. Open goes to. Whereas the Masters, I think, not only does it kind of kick off the golf season for a lot of people, and we talked about this time of year with just the sports calendar in general, where it kind of slots in, and then just the tradition of the whole thing. It just makes it incredible. There was a point earlier today, I was looking at the leaderboard, and I think it was 8 or 9 of the top 15 players on the leaderboard were former major winners.
See, and
so big, and the other big names that were up there, but I mean, you talk about guys that have proven it.
Yes.
Pretty incredible.
The tournament tends to bring out those types of golfers, guys who have won those events before. Pretty rare, not totally rare, but pretty rare to see a first-time major winner win at the Masters. And then typically, because it's at the same venue every year, the guys who play well at Augusta, regardless of form coming in, tend to play well when they come back too. So yeah, it's been fun to watch. Victor Hovland, as far as local ties, we didn't have much at the top of the leaderboard. He went on a nice run to close out his second round, so he'll be around on the weekend and should be fun to watch him.
There was a point where I think he had made four birdies in a row and just caught fire and climbed right back into it. The first 9 versus the second 9, I always find the scores to be really interesting with, throughout the 4 days, how much they vary.
It's interesting, too, this year because at least the first couple of days, the first 9's been playing easier than the second 9. Typically what we see is the second 9, which it's the back 9, but we have to call it the second 9.
Yeah, you can't call that
Augusta might come up and arrest us if we do that. Typically you see more big swings on the second 9, and you see some lower scores, but it's been playing a little more challenging. I think the green on 15 has firmed up to make that a little bit more of a challenging par 5 than what we've seen in years past, so that's probably adding to it as well. But whatever the saying is, Jim Nance says it every year, the Masters doesn't start until the second 9 on Sunday, and so that's when you really find out who's going to be in contention, who's going to ultimately win.
I went all number 1 seeds for my final 4 picks,
and
I guess I just stuck with chalk for this because Scotty Scheffler was my pre-tournament pick, which, look, he's world number 1. He's been incredible, and he's won on this golf course twice. Like, it's hard not to pick somebody not named Scotty Scheffler, but if you're going to, I guess Rory had to be the other guy, right?
Rory was my pick, and more so for the storyline than anything else, because every year around this time before the Masters starts, I'll say, all right, we're not picking Rory this year, because he's just been such a letdown at Augusta National. And lo and behold, every time I come to Wednesday night when I'm filling out my picks or for pools or whatever, I'm like, all right, fine. Rory's got to get it done at some point. He's playing great coming in, and he's played well, obviously, to finish up on Friday and played good. So we'll see if he can finish one off, man. That would be the best story, I think, of the weekend if he's able to.
Or if he's at least in the mix, right? Yes. Because even if he doesn't finish it off down the stretch, it's still a big story because of how many times he's fallen just short. So, all right, let's kick this thing off. I'll let you have the honors.
You want me to go? Okay.
You're certainly the more accomplished golfer between the two of us.
Well, I'm turning my back to the audience.
And you're a lefty, but
sorry.
We'll give it.
So what are we doing? Are we just trying to make it, and then if we make it, we win?
Yeah.
Or is there okay. I didn't know if there was bragging rights or if there was
Well, there's definitely bragging rights.
Okay. We've been getting a lot of practice.
Here we go.
Oh, I missed.
He missed the first one, which opens the door.
Yes, for Colby. Let me get out of the way. Hang on. There we go. Now we get a good view.
All right, here we go.
Nice.
Oh, right down the middle.
Right in the center. That's a guy that's been practicing on this, huh?
I took maybe 3 or 4 swings.
I think you didn't you say you bought this today? Did you buy it today or yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
There you go.
I had one similar. It was electronic though, and we lost it in one of the wildfires.
Mother Nature. Let's get a full view of
Colby so all right, let's see. Here we go.
Yeah. The stage is yours.
2 in a row. All right. I think we have time for one final one. So
okay. Well,
if you make this,
you got to force it. It'd be a must make for you to
that's
win.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Let's see if I can at least put a little pressure on you. There we go.
Oh, there it is. All right. This is for the win.
Here, let me get out.
Hopefully I don't pull a Rory.
Oh, that's right. Second 9 on Sunday. Did you leave it short?
Oh, you left it short.
Colby.
All right, there we go.
You can't leave a winning putt short.
I don't know what happened. I choked.
We'll talk about it in the break, I guess.
I'm going to punt that last putt. Smash or punt is next here on the End Zone. All right, welcome back to the End Zone. It is time for Smash or Punt. I'll make a statement. If you agree with it, you smash. If you disagree with it, you punt that baby away. All right, number 1, we talked OU spring football at the beginning of the show. I think most people feel like they're going to be better this year, upgrade at the quarterback position, get healthy on offense, still have a really good defense. That schedule is absolutely brutal, though. So smash or punt, OU football goes 8-4 or better in 2025.
So I'll smash because I think 8-4 is kind of the line. I think that's kind of where they're. I don't say that they have to finish that. If Brent Venables wants to keep his job, I think he has to win 8 games. And so because of desperation, because I think they're better at quarterback, because I think the defense takes another step forward, and the injuries can't be nearly as bad as they were last season, I'll smash and say 8-4 would be a nice season.
They were really close to winning a couple more games last year, even with the injury bug that they sustained. So I feel like if you just stay healthy, maybe you make an extra play or two to give yourself a chance to beat like a Missouri, for example,
100%.
instead of dropping that game. So 8-4 to me is the record. Yeah. So I'll go smash on 8-4. I don't think it's going to be better than that. If it is, I'll be surprised. But 8-4, I will smash. All right, since it is Masters Week, I asked this question the last couple of years. I think this was really popular on social media a couple of years ago. If you were to play in the Masters and you start from the furthest point of every green, could you make the cut?
Smash. Yeah.
You could?
Absolutely.
You start every hole from the furthest point of the green.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, right, because the cut's going to be, typically it's around that 3 to 4 over numbers where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And so you're starting on the green, and if you 3-putt a par 5, you're making eagle, right? That's the way you think about it, right? So, I feel pretty confident that you can make the cut.
Okay.
So I think you would too. I think there's a lot of people who think about it like, oh gosh, no, I wouldn't be able to do that. But you're putting. You're on the green putting. 3-putting a par 3 is a par, right?
Like so at my local golf course, I feel like the answer is yes. But at Augusta National,
I think you would surprise yourself. I agree, though.
Okay.
Toughest greens in the world. I agree.
I'm going to punt. I don't think I would.
You don't have that confidence.
I feel like I would be going home before Saturday.
Okay, well,
Friday night, I feel like I would have my tail tucked between my legs, and I would be whimpering at the bar.
Honestly, I feel like I'd be up near the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, wow.
Just to be honest, because you're...
And these are two guys that just tied in the putting competition.
That's right.
Here on the end zone.
I tied Colby, but I'm going to beat Rory.
That's right. I like the confidence, though. I appreciate that level of confidence. All right, the 2025 Masters champion will be a first-time Masters champion.
So I'm going to smash because I think I'm hoping that Rory ends up winning it, right? So he's going to not the question, first time Masters champion, not major champion, right? Smash. So I think Rory ends up winning, and so I'll give him the first time Masters winner.
Okay, and I picked Scotty, so I'm gonna stick with my pick.
So you'll punt,
and I'll punt.
Okay,
that it won't be a first time winner.
Yeah.
All right, we move through golf to the NBA. I know you love these Thunder grand
Best
NBA
ever.
questions.
Yeah.
The OKC Thunder will win the 2025 NBA Finals.
Oh man, this is a grand statement. Because we've been saying it for months, I don't feel confident that there's a team that could beat them in a 7-game series. I'll smash. Why not?
Okay.
They're the favorite to do it.
Okay.
And I feel like they have all the pieces to do it, the confidence to do it. Sure. Smash. They're going to win the NBA Finals.
So the 2 losses to Houston and Los Angeles last week didn't scare you off the Thunder, because I know a lot of people were, I wouldn't say hitting the panic button, but hovering over the panic button with 2 losses.
No, I mean, what it did is it showed them some areas of weakness that they need to work on. And again, you're not playing 1-game series in the playoff. You're playing 7. So if LA can do that 4 times, then more power to them.
Look, I don't think anybody's beating them over the course of 7 games with the depth
100%.
that they have at their disposal. Yeah. All right, I threw out the first pitch at the OKC Comets game. Let's take a quick look at that before I ask the smash or punt. Here it is, the windup. And the frame job by the catcher, by the way.
Really good.
Exceptional.
Good work.
That's why he's a professional.
Honestly, that's pretty solid.
It was about 40 degrees that day.
So are we smashing or punting the performance?
My first pitch, smash or punt.
Yeah, what did I say the whole time with you and Wyatt? Don't hop it, right? I don't care what you do, don't bounce it.
Just make sure you get it there.
Not only did you not bounce it, but you threw it within the vicinity of the catcher, and I mean, 0-2 count, maybe you're getting a swing out of that too. So smash, that was well done.
Okay. Part of me wants to punt it because I feel like I could have given it more velocity. I'm capable of a lot more velocity, but my hand was so cold that day.
Weather, yeah.
Like the weather was a factor, and I had to sort of maneuver around it. But I still was able to deliver a worthy pitch.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to smash my own pitch.
Good. There you go.
Despite, I think, feeling like I can do much better than what actually occurred.
You could have done a lot worse, too. So that's the main thing.
That's very true. Have you ever seen 50 Cent's first pitch? So there you go. All right, that was Smash or Punt. We'll take a timeout, and it's TJ's last show. We'll say farewell to our quarterback one. All right, for the final time before we say happy weekend to everyone, along with TJ Eckert, I'm Colby Daniels. It's TJ's last show with us before he moves on to greener pastures. I say that in quotes because this is as green as it gets, but
that putting green
working with me
green.
at least.
Honestly, yeah.
No, I did want to just say I am so beyond grateful to have had this time with you. I love doing the show. It's been a blast, and I think, all the stuff off camera that you've helped me with certainly has been greatly appreciated. Your patience and professionalism has been awesome. So seriously, a big thank you for me.
That really means a lot. I was expecting just to have a little jokey moment here, so I appreciate you saying that. Seriously, no, I'm grateful that we got to work together. This show is new. Obviously, we didn't know how it was going to look, and I'm glad that it was you that we're doing it with, because you've been awesome at setting it all up, and the banter and the conversation's been great. It's been natural, hasn't been forced at all. So it's been a lot of fun. There was no patience needed either, because you're a true pro at everything you do. So it's been a lot of fun working with you. I've really enjoyed it, and it makes the drive here at once a week. It makes it way more enjoyable for sure.
Well, we got like 30 seconds left before we say goodbye. Do you have any like big sports hot takes that you want to throw out there, or declarations like on your way out?
Yeah. No, I don't think I have anything right now, other than I feel more confident about me winning the Masters from starting on the green than you felt making the cut. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation, but I trust my putting, even though my display was so on the literally straight 8-footer.
On the straight, flat, nothing to it, but you know what? I'll give it to you.
Put me in front of the crowd at the Masters. Let's see what happens.
We're gonna raise his polo into the rafters like the Thunder did with Nick Collison as soon as we say goodbye. TJ, it's been awesome. We appreciate you.
Awesome,
That's
man.
TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. Everybody have a great weekend, and we're back next week.